Hi, Karen Bangs here again with Cal Poly Industrial and Manufacturing Engineering, and we have our second example working through calculating depreciation with the MACRS-GDS method. In this example, it's a slight twist on what our total cost basis is going to be. So let's read the problem statement. The LaSalle Bus Company has decided to purchase a new bus for $85,000 with a trade-in of their old bus. The old bus has a trade-in value of $10,000. The new bus will be kept for 9 years before being sold. Its estimated salvage value at that time is expected to be $5,000. So at the end of year 9, the salvage value is expected to be $5,000. And we're asked to compute the annual depreciation and remaining book value in each year using MACRS-GDS depreciation, Modified Accelerated Cost Recovery System, General Depreciation System. So we know that even though we're going to use the bus for 9 years, that may or may not be what we're going to depreciate it over. Take the $85,000 or whatever we decide our cost basis is across. So we have to look up in the tables again, where does a bus fall in the property classes? So when I look through it here, I say that it looks like, let me shrink it up here a little bit. It looks like the bus falls into, I would say, light general purpose trucks, or general purpose trucks is what I would say it's like. So therefore, it's a 5-year property. So if we have a bus that's a 5-year property, then we are going to use these rates in order to calculate the annual depreciation for the bus. So let's go back over to the problem. Oops. We have now determined that it's a 5-year MACRS life, so we know that we're going to use the rates from there. But what is our cost basis? Is our cost basis $85,000? We don't have any associated cost to transport it to us, the new bus to us. We don't have any associated cost to install or get the new bus up and running, so $85,000, but is $85,000 the total that we paid for the bus? And before I answer that question, think about when you go to buy a car and the sticker price at the dealership says $20,000 and you trade in your old car and they give you $5,000. Do you write them a check for $20,000 or do you write them a check for $15,000? You write them a check for $15,000, right? So it's the same thing here. Is the sticker price of the new bus is really $95,000. The cash we paid plus the $10,000 of value for the old bus. So our cost basis is really $95,000, which is what we see down here. Our cost basis is $95,000. The $85,000 in cash and the $10,000 value for the trade-in. So just keep that in mind, that the market value or cost basis is not necessarily cash paid, but it's what it's worth, and what it's worth is the cash in this example is the cash that was paid for it plus the value of the old bus that was traded in, the $10,000, so $95,000. No installation or other costs associated with it. And it was stated we have a salvage value at the end of year 9. This should say useful life, not class life. And we know the recovery period is 5 because we looked it up in the tables over here, and we see that general purpose trucks here is what I'm classifying the bus to be. Okay, seems reasonable. So just like the other problem, we copy in the recovery rates from the table, and we calculate the depreciation as the recovery rate times the cost basis, which in this case is $95,000. The recovery rate times the cost basis, which in this case is $95,000. So we have 20% times $95,000 is $19,000. We have the periodic depreciation for year 3 is 19.2% times 95,000. Remember in MACRS, the depreciation for the period is always the recovery rate times the cost basis, the original cost basis. And we can see that the sum of all the depreciation adds up to $95,000, our original cost basis, which is what we know would happen because we know that at the end of the property class, we would have fully depreciated, aka written the book value down to 0. And then we have our same column here showing our remaining book value, which is our book value from the end of the prior period minus the depreciation that was incurred during the period, gives us our ending book value of $76,000 at the end of year 1. At the end of year 2, it's $76,000, my book value at the beginning of year 2, minus the depreciation of $30,400 gives me an ending book value of $45,600. And again, the $30,000 depreciation for the period is the recovery rate times the cost basis. And that goes on throughout. And then we see our accumulated depreciation is the sum of all depreciation that has occurred to date. So prior periods cum depreciation plus the depreciation for the period. We can also see that if we add up these three numbers, that is $67,640,000 of depreciation that has been accumulated by the end of year 3. We also know that the sum of the book value plus the absolute of the accumulated depreciation will always equal the cost basis. And so we can see that here no matter what year we have, book value plus accumulated depreciation, the absolute of the accumulated depreciation is our $95,000 original cost basis. All right, and calculate and remaining book value. And so the other thing to point out, so we've done what the question is asked here. Again, as I stated in the prior video, these tables allow you to answer any question that might be thrown at you about depreciation. We can also see here that we're going to use it for 10 years, so there's no recovery rates, no more depreciation because we have taken all the depreciation expense already, brought this over to the income statement. So our book value is 0 for all these years too. But that doesn't mean that we can't use the bus. We still keep using the bus. We just don't have any associated expense with that fixed asset to go along with it. So it should help our profit look a little bit better, assuming the cost of repairs and things are not outrageous or above normal. Okay? So reminder or recap here is the cost basis is what you paid plus any trade-in value and really plus the transportation and installation fees, which we saw in the prior videos. General depreciation system, MACRS general depreciation system ignores salvage value when calculating depreciation. The only time that's salvage value, what the item might be worth when we sell it in the market after we've used it, is when we calculate the gain or loss on the asset, and we'll do that in the next video. The book value at the end of the depreciable life is 0, as it is always is for MACRS. And we know that it's depreciated over 5-year life per the MACRS-GDS table because we found the general purpose light trucks that we'll classify a bus as under the 5-year property class. And that's where we got the recovery rates from. Okay, that ends our second example. And our third one, we'll talk about how to handle the gain or loss, what gain and loss is, and how to manage that when we dispose or stop using an asset, either before or at the end of its depreciable life. All right, thank you.